Hey everybody, welcome to Latter-day Struggles. This is your host, Valerie. So excited to be with you and here with you, Nathan Hamaker. Hello.
Hello, good to be back. So Valerie and I went through a phase where we binged a show called Ghosts, the American version of the show called Ghosts. It's the spirits of 10 or so deceased people, and they are men and women, gay and straight, and they come through all epochs of time, all the way back from prehistoric to modern. And they've been stuck together in this purgatory while they are trying to figure out why they're dead but not in heaven. Okay, so that's kind of the premise of the show, and it's a comedy and it's very funny. One of the characters who is dead and in this purgatory is a character named Thor, and he was a Norse Viking, so a Viking from what is now the country of Norway. And one of the recurring themes in his interactions with the other characters in the show is that he, as a Norwegian Viking, hated the Danes. So the Vikings that lived in modern day Denmark, they had this horrible rivalry. They were violent. They killed each other. They plundered and pillaged each other. And they had this horrible hatred for each other. And Thor keeps coming back to his hatred of the Danes throughout the show. Now, there's an episode in which Thor actually runs into his deceased son. Thor dies, according to the show, Thor died when his son was like 5 years old, okay? And he has the opportunity to run into his deceased son as an adult. And they have this great reunion, and he's all happy to see his deceased son, and they're catching up, and he finds out in the course of the conversation that his son, when he was an adult and alive on Earth, as a Norse Viking, married a Danish woman. And he comes to this brilliant, soul-searching conclusion at the end of the show. He says to himself, and I'm going to paraphrase this, but he says, I have realized that it is not my son's fault, the predicament he is in. I, as a father, failed him. I died when he was young, and I did not have the opportunity as a father to properly teach him the hatred for Danes that he needed to have. And so because I, as a father, didn't teach him the proper hatred for Danes, it's not his fault he married a Danish woman. Therefore, I can forgive him.
What I want to say, just to sort of complicate this, is that in essence, is there anything superior to my hating people that hate gay people than hating gay people? Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. You're exactly right.
Because I'm still hating. Maybe I'm hating people that hate gay people because I'm afraid for the treatment of gay people,
right?
Which is virtuous. But if I'm hating people that hate gay people, I'm still actually practicing hatred.
Correct. Right. So this is where the discovery of Ken Wilber and the integral theory has, I think, for me, cracked a real code. And I know you talk about all the time. In fact, this is the whole point of Latter-day Struggles 2.0. It's transcend and include. It's really the first model that I've ever seen that has been able to help me understand the conundrum that you just proposed. I don't believe that there are any bad people. Okay. I do believe that there are bad ideals, and I do believe that there are institutions that are corrupt, or at worst corrupt and at best human. And most of the time when I see somebody acting in a way that I would consider to be outside of a godlike manner, outside of a loving manner, my first inclination is to say, I don't think they really understand what they're doing. I think they are victims of ignorance. I think they are victims of their own fear, maybe even victims of trauma or mental illness. And they are victims of institutions who have taught them to be a certain way. So I always start by giving the actual person the benefit of the doubt.
I can both hold space for how horribly you and I have been treated, but also go, I get it. I get it. Doesn't make it okay, but it actually in some ways gives me the opportunity to step back and go, you know what? It's almost like when you see a toddler at Walmart throwing a tantrum in the candy aisle. Toddlers are doing what toddlers do, right? And developmentally, human beings and institutions predictably go through stages of growth and development. And unfortunately, a big marker of where one is in their growth and development is how many people do they hate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right?
Yeah. How self-centric are they?
What is our responsibility as parents? Now, in this ironic twist, at the end of this show, Thor declared to all and sundry that he had failed his son because he did not teach his child to hate. How are we doing as members in and around the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? As we go on a faith journey, are we teaching our children to hate? Sometimes we get just enough information to be dangerous and to use the very same shenanigans we used to use at the very same developmental level, only with slightly different, topic ideas, right? That's not what I want us to do here. I want us here who are on Latter-day Saint oriented faith journeys to actually be embodying more and more light and truth and love. I do think that in many ways, this is the way that we as a culture and a community and in our families and homes, we can become more whole. So thanks for being with us, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Latter-day Struggles. Your support for this podcast is extremely valuable to us. If Valerie's work has made an impact in your life, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and review. For info on webinars, classes, support groups, and live events, click the link in today's show notes or visit our website at latterdaystruggles.com. Latter-day Struggles is a proud member of the Dialogue Podcasting Network.
Dialogue Podcast Network.